Sorry, my name is Elizabeth. I am a Google Women Tech Maker Ambassador. I am also working with some some companies. So some I volunteer for and some I work for, and I also have my own startup called Techie Pistol. And I'm going to talk to you about real life insights into the journey of web development. So Innocencia told me that a lot of you are studying web development, maybe all of you, and you really want to know what it really means to be a professional in the web development field. What is for you after studying? Am I right? Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can
Oh,
hear
oh,
you.
okay, thank you. So you want to really know what is for you. So basically, I'm going to start off with a bit of introduction of what you're going to be expecting when you are going to choose a career path while you finish studying. So you have to understand that there are two things in your career path after studying, and one is the opportunity identification and the other is professional growth and adaptability. So what is opportunity identification? So there are some professions in the tech field that is not going anywhere. So what I mean by is not going anywhere is that they are actually at the tail end of their usability. So these professions, when you go into them, you find it very hard scaling yourself. So what I mean is that when you go into this profession, you is either overcrowded, so that I mean is at the end of his tail life, he's either overcrowded, so there is no much opportunity for you as a graduate when you are done studying to go into this profession. Secondly, it's the fact that a lot of the technologies this particular field uses are becoming outdated, and a lot of them don't do a lot of things in improving of whatever tools that they use in their place of work. So it's becoming outdated, and because of that reason, we won't encourage you to delve into such kind of professions. And one of them is becoming like a WordPress developer or a Wix developer. You do not really need to go into a boot camp to study this long for you to become a WordPress developer. You could do it, but it's actually something you could just learn on the top of your head. You don't need to go pay money to study that. And the opportunity for that is very slim, unlike someone who can actually build from scratch. And what you can create and what you can modify and what you can actually would I say tailor down to being very unique is limited in stuffs like this. Second is professional growth and adaptability. What is professional growth? Is this job I'm looking for, I am trying to apply for, does this permit me to grow professionally? So there are some job roles that you get stuck. When you are working in those job roles, you're just stuck, you're just there, you're not growing, you're just basically moving from junior developer to senior developer, and that's all you can be able to do in this place of work or in this career. There is no much diversification in these areas. And when it comes to adaptability, is are you the kind of person that can adapt to new things? Is these are things we are going to look as we delve into other aspects of this call. So the next we are going to talk about is crafting a compelling portfolio. So when it comes to looking for a job, when you are done studying, the next thing we want you to do is put together your portfolio. I wanted to mention CV. I said, no, everybody knows CV. Let me speak about portfolio either and skip CV. So what is crafting a compelling portfolio? First, what is the importance of a portfolio? A portfolio is the putting together of all your professional work into one template or into one place. So when you put them together, you put them in one place, and when you're about looking for a job, recruiters go to that place. They can be able to see what you have done, they can be able to see your job, they can be able to see what you have built, and they're going to use that. And when they use that, they will use that to do what? To know if you are capable of doing the job they are looking for or not. So it's like a visual evidence. Unlike applying for non-technical roles, nobody is going to ask you for a portfolio. All they just want from you is for you to be able to show them a certificate, and then you get a job. But for a tech person, you need to build your own portfolio. And building your own portfolio involves two things: one, projects, and two, contributions. Now, a lot of times when we study, we concentrate a lot on building projects and very little in doing contributions. Now, what is different between project and contribution? Let's say, for example, I want to delve into my name is Mrs. X, and I have, from the first slide I told you, opportunity identification. You've identified that there are less people building mathematical inclined projects. So there are no softwares tilted towards mathematics. Now you say, okay, I am going to build projects that will solve mathematical problems in our society. Now, this is you going out, having this idea and building it as a project. Now, what is contributions? Contributions is you going to see something somebody else has built or is still building, and you say, can I assist? Sometimes you ask, sometimes you just fork the repo, you place it on your computer, and then you add your contributions, and then you push it back, and then that's your contribution to that work. Now, in terms of that, I always advise people, when build projects that you want to work for full time. If I'm someone who does not like calculation, I shouldn't be building a math-based project, because when when recruiters see you, most recruiting company recruit for a vast array of companies. When they see that you have built a maths project, they'll be looking for more technical roles in terms of calculation, like accounting roles, fintech, ed tech, mostly tilted towards mathematics, maybe tilted towards physics, something that has to do with a lot of calculation, economics, and all that bunch of stuff. And they'll be looking for you to fit into those roles. And you just built that project because at that point you felt that that is what you can do. And because you have built a mathematics oriented project, now you are being called for an interview. And once you're being called on for an interview, they ask you to replicate something similar, you really struggle. And that's why it's best to build projects on what you want to work into. So if, for example, I want to work in healthcare, I should build my projects in healthcare. I should build my projects in things like that. So when I was building my own project personally, I never had the opportunity to build personalized project, because I was already surrounded with network of people that want me to build something for them. So every project that I built when I was starting out my career was for somebody asking me to build one thing or the other for them. So if you go through my GitHub profile, you really realize that a lot of the projects are already things people are asking me to do for them. Now, also, while building your project, you have to emphasize on technologies. It's very hard sometimes saying, today I want to build, sometimes someone will build a mathematics project, for example, and he's going to build it with maybe HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. He's going to replicate that project and saying the CSS for the HTML is for the technology to do that. He would now say, okay, I'm going to add a database to this my project. He's going to add that to that his project. Now, this is he adding technologies to his project. And every time you build a project, you add something, you should caption it. You should add a bit of a story to that, to what you have built, and say, okay, I have built a project on this or on that, and I want to highlight on this thing I have built. So that contribution that you have done, is best to highlight it in your project and now say, I built this. First, I used HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Then later, I added React. So you emphasize on that so that recruiters can see your progress. Then when you add that, you now say, okay, I need to add database to my project. Then you now include a note and saying, okay, okay, this project had no database before. Now I'm adding a database. So they are seeing your progress in your projects. This is how you add technologies to your portfolio. So when you want to add something else later, maybe you want to take out the CSS, you want to add SCSS. Maybe you want to take out everything and add a framework to it. You add those captions saying, okay, this is what I've added and that is what I have not added. I think the next thing we really struggle with, especially women, and worse are Black women, women of color, is personal branding. So you could see a white woman on social media. She tells you how she's an expert in this stuff, how she's very good in that stuff. And people easily believe her. And for us, when I mentor women a lot, I ask them, why don't you do that? And they tell you, because when Black people are being seen, we are being seen as people who are underserved, undeserved. We are being seen as people coming from slavery. We are being seen as people coming that want to scam you. So when you see a Black person highlighting something, you say, oh, this person is hungry and is building this stuff to what was that word? What was that what I'm going? He's building this stuff to get money, not really to drive change, not really to build some an impactful project. So men, although they try to dare, we women, especially we women of color, we do not dare as much as our men do dare, and that has actually helped limited us in personal branding. So if you want to become someone who is going to stand out in what you are doing, is you're going to do personal branding. A statistics was taken on LinkedIn, which is a professional networking site, and the least people with LinkedIn account were Black women. Every other people, if you could take the statistics, they had LinkedIn account, they post regularly, they say, this is who I am or what I do. But we Black women, we rarely do that. And few of us who do that do have LinkedIn accounts. We rarely post stuff talking about ourselves. So this is it. You see those small wins. You could have small wins. Maybe today you succeeded in building something using HTML alone. Please go to LinkedIn. I know that there are senior developers who would say, who you are saying, why am I going to showcase this stuff? There are people who have built things bigger than mine. Why am I going to bring my little stuff here? It's not going to be very relevant. Trust me, you see that little thing you have built, that little thing you built with HTML and CSS, maybe 2 hours ago or 4 hours ago or one day ago, you had no knowledge on that. You have now educated yourself. You have equipped yourself with that knowledge. Go and blow your trumpet on social media. So that's this personal branding is that. So when you're creating a portfolio, the face of your portfolio is going to be a beautiful and gorgeous picture of you, professionally dressed. Look into the camera straight with your eye. Give that professional look to that camera. Do that so well. Pose very well with so much confidence. Confidence is not bought, is being seen. Nobody pays money to buy confidence. You just show it. So it's not expensive. Confidence is not expensive. All you just have to do is show it. Tell them that if you only know HTML and CSS, show that you know HTML and CSS. Be proud of knowing that, because there's someone somewhere who doesn't know it. And there is someone somewhere who has started learning HTML and CSS but couldn't understand it, and the person had to back out, and here you are learning it, sitting on it. So blow that trumpet. This is what you have done. Personal branding would really help in doing that. So make sure that when you build your portfolio, blow your trumpet. Tell them that you are industry expert in this, you have done that. Let them see who you are. Let them know what you are. So next we are going to speak about networking strategies. I think a lot of us have heard about networking, and we know networking is actually moving from persons to persons, and they knowing who you are and you knowing who they are. So with networking, you can be able to meet people who are either better than you are better than them, or all of you are on the same level. You can also meet people who will help you get a job. So this is the power of networking. You also meet people who will not give you a job, but who could refer you. So what you do is that you go to the social media. You got Eventbrite, you got Meetup. These are softwares you could just log into, and you put your area where you stay, and you look for events that you can network around your area. You get up, you take your bath, you wear your clothes, and you go there. You don't need to know anybody. you go there and you begin to know people, you say your piece. So utilizing social media platforms is also very important, in the sense that if you go to social media, someone is talking about one event or the other, someone posts something on social media, you comment and give your 2 cents. You follow people who are relevant. My friend do say stop following people that say hey guys online. So these people that always say hey guys are not really very professional people. So just an analogy. So follow people who are very, very professional online. So while I was sitting down in my room this specific day, I was going through Meetup. I saw this event and I decided to attend. When I decided to attend this event, I met this guy. His name is James McLeod, and James McLeod is a very big personality in open source. So I personally heard his speech. I walked up to him. I was like, I love your speech. And we got talking. Today, if I need anything in terms of open source, he is the person I go to. I have slowly used LinkedIn, get to know him better. He knows me very well, and we are very good friends. And when people are looking for open source projects, I'll just ask James, do you have any open source project that someone has told you about? He'll say, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, there's this a friend of mine that needs this. Okay, link me up with that person. And it's simply because I stood up that day, put on my clothes, and attended that networking event. So you might be an introvert, very good. You say, I am not very good at networking. Maybe I don't even have beautiful clothes to go out with. Are the clothes clean? Yes. Are they ironed? Yes. That's good. Just find yourself there. If you are an introvert, maybe you could benefit more from online events. So online events are places where you attend online events that are quite robust, so that there will be a section where you can put in your details, you can get people's details, you can be able to go back to probably the person's social media handle and also relate with that person. Also for introverts, I think you benefit more from listening. When you are at a place, when someone says something you agree with, nod yes with a smile. You don't need to speak so much. Just be present, nod yes with a smile. So if there is someone who you know you want to relate with over a long period of time, start following that person. If the person is going to a particular event, dress up and go to that event. Make sure you are close to that person. The person has seen you in the last event. You say, hi, we met in a particular event. You say, yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't need to say anything. You keep hanging around this person. So it's you warming up to that person. And on a very good day, when you feel very comfortable, because I think introverts take a while to come out of the shell. When you're not comfortable with that person over a certain period of time, you can now say, hey, okay, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, and then you can start that conversation. And maybe all you just have to say is a line or two of what you want, and then you'll be fine. Next is job interview. Ah, nobody nobody wants to go through job interviews. I know that, but that is the best way to learn. Sometimes go for a job interview you don't qualify for, not because you want to get that job. You are going there because you want to learn. You want to know how to build your confidence skills. You want to know how to fail forward. We want to know how to fail forward. So there are some preparation strategies you need to do to apply for a job interview. First, when you see a job interview being advertised, don't be in a hurry to check, do I qualify? And then you go and apply for that job interview. No. You see, job interview is you apply what I call chivalry. See, it's just like dating somebody. When you want to date somebody, you tend to know more about that person. You see someone you like, you start asking the person question. You see a job that you like, you would want to work in that company. It's like meeting someone. You would say, let me go research about this company. You take that company's name, put it on Google, and you get as much information as you can about that job interview. You now see people that work in that company and you try to relate with them. You're trying to understand, maybe the job interview looks very juicy. What if their company's culture does not align with yours? Let's say you are someone who is a student and you're looking for a part-time job and you study from 8 to 4, and this job is telling you, okay, it's 8 to 4. Of course, it wouldn't align with you, even though you love that job. So it's just like dating. You could see someone you like, but the person's priorities are not similar to yours. You'll be like, oh, no, I am not going to date this person anymore. So it's similar to that. So when you learn about that, you should also learn. When you learn about companies, this is what you should also learn. Learn how that company stands apart from other ones. So I'm doing a course called strategic marketing, so management. So with UNICAF University, and one of the assignments that was given to me was for me to take Apple as a product and analyze it for today, for 2023 that just ended, project it for 2024 and its future. So I sat down to analyze it, and from my assignment, I found out that Apple right now is not good for investment, but there is potential for future investment. So if, for example, you have £1 million or dollars to invest, you could put it in Apple. Your money will triple in the next 3, 4, 5 years. But right now, you start seeing your money, you start losing money. Once you put it into Apple right now, you start losing money. You start losing money, losing money, losing money, losing money. But over time, you're going to get that growth. So if, for example, I'm going to a job interview with Apple and I tell them, oh, I've researched about your company. This is what I've seen. This is what I've seen about your company in 2023. This is what I see in 2024. This is what I'm expecting from your company in the next 5 years. Your company is this, is that. You made an Apple, your recent iPad, compared it with Asus. I could see these features, I could see that features. See, that job interviewer would give me that job because of how in depth I have researched their company. How in depth I have researched their company. So strategically place myself in the business world. So that was why I chose to do that course. And this is me understanding, oh, this is how this thing works. So researching company is one strategy you can use to ace the interview. So when you are sitting down with the interviewer, telling them things about their company, sometimes even the job interviewer doesn't know. And you say, probably in March 2023, do you know your company picked more than this company or that company? You're like, wow, how did you know that? You just wow them. This is something you learn. Next is common interview questions. So what are common interview questions that you can be asked? If you're applying for, let's say, a job as a Python developer, they're going to ask you questions relating to Python development. So you just read basic things about Python development. And when you are interview questions, they are not looking for you to give the right answers. So don't struggle about giving the right answer. When I ask you a rhetorical question, I'm just looking to see how you think. How do this person approach this question? So if I ask you a simple question, you give me a very simple answer, I'll be like, okay, this person understands that this is a simple question that needs a simple answer. When I ask you a question that needs you to be very detailed in your answer, yes, I would expect you to be very detailed with your answer. So is that process or that steps that they look at, not actually the answer to your question, because the way a person thinks is very, very important than results, because result can be changed, but someone's thinking process is very hard to change. So you should also develop problem solving skills, which are just technical assessment. So when you are applying for a job interview and you have to do technical assessment, sometimes they simply put maybe like a carrot or a dojo, or maybe they might even use this popular one, code pen, for you to solve your questions in it and all this stuff. Don't be so concerned about getting the right answers. Focus on the steps you're going to take to get that right answers. Understanding data structures and algorithms is the backbone to software development, is the backbone to web development. They want to see if you can follow the industry practice to get to that answer. And you can help yourself by Googling. Google is not as easy as a lot of us think. You have to ask Google the right questions rather than solving the right answers. And in technical, when studying for a technical assessment, don't bother about cramming or getting used to the formula for solving this. Don't bother about wanting to know so what are the roles within web development? We have the front end, the back end, the full stack, and specialized roles. Now specialized roles might include technical roles like technical writing, DevOps, UI, UX. So you should ask yourself, what do you want to specialize in? And then when you are done, you can now actually pick that and concentrate on doing that. So that is the So there are four different ways that you can search for your job, or you can become a career person in the field. One is startup. Like I have a startup called Techie Pistol, and my startup is just one side of what I do as a person. So you can also buy a company. So I've seen people buy companies, even junior people starting out buying company. A classmate of mine, Axel Gruber, bought a company. So he's actually working on it. Just like I'm like Axel, I'm watching you, I'm seeing what you're going to do with this. So another one is freelancing and contract. So some people say I do not want to work for anybody. So you can go into freelancing and contracting jobs. So contracting job is I can employ you for 3 months, you work for me, and when you work for me after 3 months, I can now be able to release you, and then you'll be done. They are not liable to insurance and all the bunch of stuff. They are not liable to insurance and all the bunch of stuff. Freelancing is you just get a particular gig. Maybe you saw stuff like Upwork, you get a particular gig, you solve it, you reach out to cold calls to people, you get a job, people you know, your friends, and you work for them. Another one is remote or on-site. So is you actually working for a company full time. You can actually be working remotely or on-site. The last one is industry specific roles. So like in London, we have what we call NHS. So NHS do what we call industry specific roles, where you might want to work in the hospital sector, which is a national health service. So you work for the hospital sector, you can get into apprenticeship. In industry specific roles, you have to have a little bit of industry knowledge. So if, for example, you studied a medicine and you want to delve into tech, you can delve into healthcare. And when you delve into healthcare, you can now use your knowledge of medicine to solve a particular healthcare problem that needs tech. So these are industry specific jobs. So these are different career paths that you can tread. So I think we have about 15 minutes left, and I want to talk about balancing work and learning. If you want to succeed in the path of tech, you have to keep learning. A bit of my learning history was I started off as a dental therapist, studied dental therapy, worked for 13 years. I was bored. I said, okay, I was going to do something else. I went into oral health research, and I actually specifically tilted towards digital dentistry. I did that for 2 years. I took a master's in instant digital, Lagos, Nigeria, for about a year in a program. This after studying oral health research, after studying digital marketing, working, I decided to go into web development. Did a diploma course on it, and then I said, okay, I was going to go further into that. So I took a lot of short courses here and there, and then I understood that for the profession, for me to actually be who I want to be, I need to have a lot of knowledge on management, because I realized I was very good in management. So I decided to apply for UNICAF. So UNICAF is a to apply for UNICAF, so called Techedia Institution in US. So the trajectory, me watching what I'm doing. I also, because of I'm a Google Women Technical Ambassador, I also joined the Google Cloud. So we are doing actually a training for 2 months on generative AI. And this is me learning and learning while I was learning. You dedicate this time for learning, this time for work. When you do that, you will not clash into both. The timetable should be quite flexible in case there's something overlapping, because starting out as a junior, you run into a lot of errors, especially in your codes. So you might now waste so much time. So your timetable should be flexible, where you can have free time in case you overlap in your time. So you have to also set realistic goals. You can't study a course that you know you cannot finish. You can't engage in a job or in a project that you know you cannot finish. So your goals have to be very, very realistic. So the next is prioritizing continuous education. So I'm a member of BCS, which is British Computer Society. And we are always doing see we need so can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know where I stopped. I just realized I was not. Can you remind me where I stopped? Where you guys lost me? Um, can you tell me where you lost me? Because right now I'm talking about okay, start from balancing work. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Jafet, for that. So balancing work and learning. So I gave a brief history about my work and learning story about how I started out my career as a dental therapist, proceeded to becoming an oral health. Yeah, so oral and public health college of scholars. I was doing a fellowship in research methodology where I actually specialized in digital dentistry. Then I proceeded to taking a course in digital marketing, where I became a digital marketer and I worked for a digital marketing company in Lagos, Nigeria. Then from there, I also shifted to saying, okay, I want to go into software development. I traveled to London and although I started learning on my own personally. I went for a boot camp in London and I stayed and I studied. And I said, okay, I was going to take short courses personally so I can be able to improve on by myself. So while studying and working, I understood that I was very good in management. So I knew I was going to be better fit for leadership roles in tech companies. So I decided to enroll in UNICAF University to study strategic management. So while I'm studying strategic management, it was going to end in February, and I said, okay, I was going to do something else. I enrolled in Tekedia University, which is located in United States, to do MBA, which is Masters in Business Administration. It's a mini masters actually. So I'll be doing that. And I said I don't have a computer science background. I need to do something in computer science. I decided to apply for a scholarship for the University of East London, and they gave me scholarship, and I'm going to be studying masters. I'm going to be starting in June for my masters. And this is a brief history of why I say you cannot survive in tech and become relevant if you don't keep studying while you work. So understanding that you have to work and you have to study is key for you to be relevant in the field. And because of his key for you to be relevant in the field, you have to understand that you have to balance both work and life. So work and learning. So balancing both work and learning, I just said you have to know how to manage your time by allotting the right time for study and the right time for learning. You have to set realistic goals. Don't go overboard with your goals, little step at a time. Also, continuous education by joining different organizations. I'm a member of British Computer Society, and we have to do CPD points. So you have to study for you to be able to be a member, and you have to avoid burnouts. You have to know when to take a break and when not to take a break. So I think we're about to round up. So you have to know that you have to stay updated with industry trends. So whatever is happening in industry, you have to be updated. You have to update yourself. You have to go to maybe magazines of companies like Google, know what is Google doing, subscribe to their newsletter. What is Microsoft doing? Subscribe to their newsletter. If you are interested in healthcare, you look for, let's say, a company that is running stuff in healthcare, and now say, okay, how am I going to know what is going on in healthcare? And you continue to stay up to date with trends so that you don't become irrelevant. Second to my last slide is I'm going to talk about open source contribution. So contributing to open source will help you get a job very fast, especially when you contribute to open source that are relevant in today's trend. So using like I started off learning Ruby, and I contributed to GitHub open source, and the GitHub open source that I contributed to um, was using what they call Jekyll, which is the software that was new to the Ruby community, because GitHub is built on Ruby. So it took me a while to be able to replicate that repo and understand how Jekyll works and all that stuff. So that's what open source community does. Open source community keep you on your toes. You have to keep working on latest technologies. I think the last thing I'm going to talk about is you have to try to do a bit of writing and blogging so as to record your journey. And when you become very good, you have to mentor other people and you have to also speak at networking events. Speak at events is very important for you to be relevant and to stay relevant in the field. So in conclusion, embracing the journey in navigating the job market in software development, you have to have confidence, you have to be very resilient, and you have to have a committed attitude to continuous learning, knowing that each step that you put in is geared towards your personal growth and your professional growth. Because if you grow professionally, you become more confident. If you grow professionally, you become more happy with who you are. Thank you. Sorry, I am going to share my slide. I'm going to work on it. And you people can slot me in for another slot another timetable. I would give you another presentation. This time I'm going to share my slide so that you can be able to see, because I really feel like I disappointed you all in this call. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, we are all going to turn on our camera. I'm going to take a picture
Is there
of
anyone with a
everybody.
question?
Okay. I've I think I got some questions. I was just checking while we are on this call, while I was going through my stuff. I think I saw Innocencia sent me some bunch of questions. I didn't see it early. I just saw it right now. Um, I think if we still have a bit of time, I might get to look at them. Um, okay. So some questions that she sent across to me, which I didn't look at early. She said, any specific question? Okay. How to sell your service to companies and organizations. So is that a question you would love me to ask for today, or maybe when we hop on the next call, we are going to do that? Because if you want to sell your service, web developers are very bad in selling. We are very good at building and very bad in selling. And I think that might be another class. So I will teach you. I'll teach you how to sell. How to sell is very, very important. You're going to build software, they're going to be that. And if you don't know how to sell, trust me, I did a bit of digital marketing, so I know how to sell. Thank God for that. And I know how we tell people bogus things and charge them a lot of fees because they don't really understand how to sell. So how to sell is an art, and maybe that might be part of what I'm going to talk in my next class. So what inspired you to become a software engineer? Okay, what inspired me to become a software engineer was when I started off as a clinician, as a dental therapist. Every day I go to the hospital, I work and I come home. I realized that I was bored because I realized I was technically minded. Being an African child who was born in Africa, your parents tell you go study this, go study that. I was very good I was very good in my mathematics. I wanted to become an engineer, but they said no. So now I'm old enough, I can make decisions for myself. And I said I was going to try um, to do something in the digital field or in the tech field, but related to dentistry. That was why I applied for the fellowship. So the fellowship is actually for dental professionals in Africa. So every year they pick 12 people in entire Africa. I was lucky to be among the 12 that they picked. So I went through the fellowship. And my specialization was digital dentistry. And that was the first time I felt fulfilled in my profession. So the question is, how can I push this boundary? Because there's still very little done in the dental profession. I want to come back and make my own impact. So if I don't become a software engineer and understand technologies, understand how software works, how can I create software solutions in the dental field? So that was what inspired me to go into the software engineering field. And today, I'm glad I did that because it's paying off. So I got a call from the dental body in Nigeria, and they said, you are one of our member. We are trying to organize CPD workshops like this training. You guys, I say I've seen you've, a friend of mine told me what you guys do in British Computer Society. We as a society, Nigerian Dental Society, we want to organize just as you guys are doing. And I want you to organize that for the dental profession. So I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of members. I will be onboarding them digitally, organizing workshop for them digitally. And this is the first time I feel fulfilled that is paying off the fact that I've delved into software engineering. I have hopped on calls with the dental profession in Nigeria, and I keep saying we need to become digitally inclined in the dental sector. So if I was not a software engineer, I wouldn't have created this impact. I'm glad that they are listening to me, they are hearing my voice, and it's simply because of I deviated into software engineering. So the other question said, um, how to be an expert in web development. Hmm. It's like a baby saying, how do I start walking? The baby have to crawl first. So to be an expert has been things that I've stated here, which is basically you have to keep learning while walking. You have to, your codes are going to break. I know you guys know that. If you've already started coding, it's going to break. You're going to feel frustrated. You want to pull your hair out, but hang in there, maybe take a break and come back. The software engineering is hard the first 2 years. Ask everybody who has done it. The first 2 years is the hardest, but after 2 years, you begin to get used to it. So if you want to be an expert, hang in there while you study, while you work, study, so that you can climb up the ladder. Nobody is going to hand you anything. Nobody's going to say, hey, you come and take this senior position. No. Once you go, you study something. When your company wants to look for, when you're having probably a scrum meeting or any of your meeting, when you people want to look for an expert, you say, why are you looking for expert? I'm here, I studied that. They promote you, they start paying you that particular salary. And that is how you get to be elevated in that position. So for you to be an expert is why you work and why you resiliently stick to that. Make sure you keep studying. I think the next question is that I would like her to tell me as a beginner what I should do. Okay, what inspired? Okay, where did she learn web development? Was it self-taught? Okay, just like I said, I started learning on my own. So back in my home country, I attended my first boot camp. But before that, I'm in Nigeria. And my friend, during COVID, was unable to work efficiently. He had a lot of hospital. I had the COVID. If I'm bored at home, I'll just take my COVID pass. I said, I'm a clinician. I'm going out, and they always let me out. I did suffer COVID like everybody does. I was not under any lockdown, so I could move from place to place. So, I was on a chat with him, and he said, um, I'm trying to do this stuff, and I have a lot of workload, and there's nobody to help me. I'm like, if you teach me, I'm willing to learn. COVID has made everybody redundant. Practically, if I don't have work in the clinic where I was working, I just literally stay at home doing nothing. I said, can I come over? He said yes. So he said, this is what is HTML. I said, all right, this is what is CSS. This is what is JavaScript. Can you learn that? I said, fine. So that's how I started doing that. And I could be able to do the writings for him in HTML. I could open the P tag, write it in there, open the A tag, write it in there for him. And then he could do the other part. Then he now told me, okay, this is how you implement CSS. So I just got fascinated about how we just write this bunch of stuff and boom, it's just so beautiful on the other end. Very, very, very witty stuff. I'll just write here. And when we go to the other end, it's looking so beautiful. And that sparked me saying like, oh, I've always wanted to do this. Can I just go ahead and do this thing I've always wanted to do all my life? So I started studying on my own. After that, study. COVID made me study a lot. I know I studied a lot, but COVID like amped that for me. So I kept studying. And then I just saw the boot camp that came up. I'm like, oh my God, this is a boot camp. So I applied for the boot camp. I got selected for the boot camp. And then it's also actually a scholarship. Well, sorry, I got a lot of scholarships. Sorry, because I feel that as an African girl, if you know how to apply for scholarships, you will get it, especially in tech. African girls have the highest advantage to get scholarships in tech. So if you know how to use that, trust me, you will get it. Because most likely you might be one in 5 or 10 girls applying amongst hundreds of thousands of people. If you go to my LinkedIn, you see my picture, my banner. I am the only black girl in my class in London. The next batch, there was no black girl. The batch before that, there was no black girl. So this is why I said there are so many opportunities for you. You don't need to be paying a lot of money to learn a lot of stuff. So I got a scholarship. I did that. I did my first project. It was actually Python that we were taught. I was okay with that. Then I also saw that in London. I applied to, but that was Ruby. I had to like move from that to Ruby, and that really helped. I had this community of alumni. We have an alumni network from all over because my school is all over the world. So in Africa, we only have in South Africa. So we'll have in other parts of the world. So I have alumni of network. I could keep asking questions, keep building self projects. When someone say, Lizzie, build this for me, I'll say, all right, I'm going to build that for you. I could go to the alumni network. I could ask questions. So I actually started by being self-taught and I progressed to a boot camp. And today I could confidently say I could go do a master's in computer science without having computer science degree because I feel my work experience would give me that advantage to do that. So I think the other question said, how can you become a good webinar? How can you become a good webinar and you can start it? Um, Sincerely, I don't understand this question, but I'm guessing is asking how can you organize a good webinar? So to organize a good webinar is simply building your network first, because you have to have people to attend your webinar. If you don't have people attend your webinar, who, once you put it out, nobody knows who you are, nobody knows whatever you are. So I think first is that building of your portfolio, of your profile, that personal branding. Be out there, be on social media. So I spoke at one of the Deaf First conference, and there's a software called Sessionize. So I don't know that my Sessionize account is public. So someone was like googling and saw me, and like, so yes, you're part of Sessionize. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. He said, yeah. I said, oh, okay. I spoke at Deaf First. There's a platform I was supposed to use to write in my speech. I don't know, it was sessionized, and I don't know that sessionized like a platform, and if you speak at an event, it gets published there, and that alone puts me out. And sometimes I get people call me from that sessionized and say, okay, I saw your profile on sessionized, could you come speak? And I think is that putting yourself out there. You don't need to know everything. And today, if I'm going to organize a webinar, I organized my first webinar, I think in December, and I had a good number of people. I never knew I had that. When I started my newsletter on LinkedIn, I think in the first 3 months I had my first 1,000 subscribers. This is how important it is building your brand out there. So building your brand is very, very important. So when you build your brand, when you organize a webinar, people are going to attend. So all you simply do is you might just hop onto Google Meet, or this is Grain, hop onto Google Meet, and then you can be able to give them the link, they attend, and then you speak. You should be able to prepare your slides. You should be able to know how not to plagiarize your work, because someone can see what you have done and say you copied my work, and someone can sue you. This is when somebody will not sue you today because you're starting, but when you grow and you become very visible, people just want to sabotage you, and they are like, sometimes in 24, this is 20, who knows what. You did that, and this how people get sued. So make sure when you conducting webinar, your presentations that you're going to present to those people are your work. So read about that topic, be knowledgeable about that topic, so that you can be able to deliver a very awesome webinar to your audiences. I think that will be any specific question you'd okay. I think how do I get job from this new skill? Okay, how do you get a job from this new skill? Just like I said, build your portfolio, you network with people. And I think volunteering is something we really, really underrate. And volunteering, the only Black woman who is in the chair, who is in the C level, the chair level in the British Computer Society. I've always heard about her. I went to a conference and I heard her speaking, and she told me I've known that she's actually part of UN, like one of the big shots in UN. And then I met her one day when I went to a conference up in London. I was like, Madam, please, I need you to tell me how you joined UN. She said, I'm not a member of UN. I said, no, but she said, I just volunteered for UN. She's like, I said, oh, so if you volunteer for a very big company, you don't have to write volunteer. She said, you don't have to write that. Because if they call the company and ask about you, the company will say they know you. So you could look for a very big company and volunteer for and add that to your profile. I think we underrate that a lot. We really want to get paid when we are starting out, but I think the competition is very high out there. And one thing that made me get the position of the Google Women Tech Makers was I volunteer a lot for Global Leadership Summit. So the GLS organized all around the world. So I've been since 2015, I've been volunteering for them for free. I organized Global Leadership Summit around Nigeria. And it was this lady that saw me and she was like, I heard I saw you facilitating one of the events. Would you love to be part of Google Women? I love the way you speak. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And then she sent me the link, and that's how I applied. But if I wasn't volunteering for that, I wouldn't get Google Women Tech Maker. And if I didn't get Google Women Tech Maker, I wouldn't get to work for companies like Tech Labs. I wouldn't be able to work for companies like Steam Divas. I knew these people from Google Women Tech Maker Ambassador, and it started off by volunteering. We actually volunteer. If you hear those of us in Google Women Tech Maker, we are all volunteering. And it has opened doors for a lot of us. And that's the power of volunteering. So if you want to get a job, you volunteer. Secondly, you have to know what you are doing. And knowing what you are doing is like you have to do pair programs. You have to have a friend that is accountable for you. You have to have a mentor. You can reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, so I'll just write out my LinkedIn details here. So if you just do your www.linkedin.com, you do /in slash um, Elizabeth Elizabeth dash Orji. So you find me on LinkedIn. So um, that's um, that's how you can easily find me on LinkedIn. Drop me any message, and I mentor like British Computer Society. I'm a mentor. I have this large network of people I mentor. I also mentor in women tech makers. Reach out to me. I especially women of color. I want us to be there. With imagine being the only woman in your class. Do you know how difficult it was for me to school in London? I have no other black woman to relate with. I want up there, I want us to be plenty. Just like the woman who asked me to mentor was this woman who I say she's the chair of the British Computer Society. She's the one that said, Lizzie, you have to mentor. See, I'm the only black woman here. I don't like it. I'm like, black women want other women of color to be in this position. They keep telling me, I'm the only black woman here. Can you come do this stuff with me? Let's do this stuff. Burn that candle, not for you, but for the women coming behind you, for the women in the community, for the younger girls coming behind you. Every time you carry your computer to read, forget. I know sometimes, like December, I got a lot of gifts from men, and it's me saying, do I need to sit down and become this fine girl? Men send stuff, or do I need to become this girl that wants to work for her own money? Not because of working for my own money is easier, but because if other women sees me, I'm going to motivate them. You should start thinking from a global perspective as a woman, saying, I'm going to bend down to read. I'm going to bend down to study, not because of I like it. I know it's hard. I know I write a line of code and it breaks. And sometimes I sit down, sometimes I get a call from one of my mentees, and she's literally crying on the phone. I've been working on this program 2 days, it's not working. She's literally crying. And I let her cry. And I said, if you don't cry, how are you going to learn? It's going to break. Deadline is there. What you've written, you're going to send it like that to your boss. Let your boss knows you have written something. Send it. Then you keep working on it. I can't send it to you. I said, that's the problem with we black women. Send a broken stuff to your boss and tell him you're working on fixing it. But he has to see the fact that you're making progress. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be shy. I know the industry is dominated by men, but I'm telling you, as a woman, there is an edge, there's a place for us. We are very few sitting there. We are very, very few sitting in that space. And like they get to call me, speak at this event, speak at that event, go here, come and do this, come and do that. And personally, I go on social media. I'll look at events, especially organized by women. When I saw Sense advertises, I said, no, as long as it has to do with women, I like to be there. I like to talk. As was like I go to Malaysia, I go to this country. Is you women? Do you have women? Large number of women. Sign me up. 12 mid, sometimes 2 a.m. I'm talking at events because of time difference from this country to that country with so much pride. You are not learning just for yourself, but for the general cause of we women. So you have to put in that hours, do that free job that someone is paying you less, contribute and do that stuff. Once you see a job and maybe they have 10 requirements and you can fit 5, apply that. And we are going to have another call on how to ace a job. So all jobs you see online, they advertise, the person that gets the job is not the best. There's what we call ATS. So it's a test system, assessment test system that they use to screen out CV. So I'll tell you how to beat ATS, how you can land that job that you want if you can be able to understand how AI works. So the AI system, how it works, I'm going to put you ladies through that. And this is me wanting more of us there. If you want scholarship, you don't know how to get it, ask me. Come to my DM, say, okay, I've identified this school, I want scholarship. Because let your questions be, because I can ignore messages if it's not driven in such a way, because I have a lot. Sometimes, like, if I open my LinkedIn, I get 15, 20 messages. I only go for those that ask very relevant questions. You say, I have this scholarship, tell me the school, download all the requirements, go through the documents, tell me where you are finding it hard to fill it. Then I can now help you fill that form. But saying that I want scholarship, okay, you want me to go look for the scholarship for you, I wouldn't do that. But if you can put in the effort, and when you get stuck, my job is to help you when you get stuck, but you have to get stuck first. then I'll help you, walk you through that. And this is how we keep building this network of more women who are in tech. So I think we're almost done with the questions. How they don't give up when okay, how is the software engineering journey for a beginner? How they don't give up when faced with a challenging task? What were the challenges she came across in her journey, and which training makes her become a software developer? Okay, challenge I faced, just like I said, being a black woman in tech, especially living in London, has its own sets of challenges, which I face. When I was studying, being the only black woman in my class, and first thing I noticed was I come with my African food. I'm Nigerian. I'm very, very proud. I come with my African food to there, and somebody's asking me, "What are you eating? Your food smells different." I'm like, "Your cheese also smells different," because I've never perceived cheese in my life. I don't know this is what cheese looks like. This is what it smells like. So you get that subtle. I call it. They're not white people are not like we blacks. We blacks are very. If we don't like, we show you. They don't do that. So, but you see the micro hate, very, very subtle, very little they push out there. So I get to understand that. And I think it stems from being very confident of who you are and saying that nobody's going to put me out there, nobody's going to sell me. I will put myself out there. I will sell myself. And if you come from that angle, you say nobody can intimidate you because nobody actually knows it all. My code still break. My way senior colleagues, their code still breaks. Everybody code still breaks. You could ask, you could meet a senior engineer and tell him, please, I want to write this if statement. Can you help me? He'll tell you to wait. You go to Google. Most of us don't have the codes by heart, but we've developed a way of going to Google to find our solutions. So don't feel like you don't know anything. We know too much. No, you don't. You know what you know, and you are learning. I think that fact that you are learning makes you stand out. It's I don't know how to explain that learning is the key, because if today I go to do my master's in computer science and the next 10 years I didn't study, and you start do your master's now and go up to your PhD, in terms of ranking, you're going to outrank me. So that's what learning does. That constant learning is very, very key in becoming a professional, whoever you want to be. So don't stop learning. So that's a bit of the challenge that I faced. And there was this guy that was looking for freelance developers to interview. Then when I was freelancing, someone reached out to me and said, "There's this guy. This is his details. Contact him. I've told him about you. Drop me the Calendly link." So it's what Calendly link. So I took out my picture and I sent him a request. He was like trying to be very polite. So I knew he rejected me was that at the end of the whole session, he didn't publish that. You could see him publish sessions that he has organized, but he didn't publish mine. So I knew that from the moment he saw I was a black woman, I could see that rejection he just pushed out. So you are going to face all these microaggressions, very, very small, subtle aggression as you go through the profession, but do not be phased. Nobody should intimidate you. Your weapon is I am a junior. Nobody's expecting you to build an entire site like Facebook. Nobody's expecting that from you. They're expecting that you should be able to understand basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Learn that and beat your chest that you can do that effectively. So I think this is the very few things that I'm going to say. I think I'm very grateful for everybody who stayed up till this time, despite my very. If you see how beautiful my slides are, oh my God, I don't know how to explain to you, ladies, but I'm going to share it with you. And when I fix it up and the next call, trust me, I'll be all set. And I bought a new MacBook, so I'm still setting it up. So that's the problem I'm facing. Yeah. So thank you. For the call and for staying up to this point. I really appreciate it. I don't know. Are we going to take a group photo so that I want to see you all on LinkedIn. I want to see. I want you to I'll send it. Take the picture. and then tag me on LinkedIn, tag everybody. Everybody turn on their camera, tag everybody on LinkedIn. I want to see them comment. I want to see each and every one of them saying, I was on this call, and I want to see each and every one of them start building their personal brand for those that have not.
Oh, my mic was mute. Anyway, you've heard her. So turn on your cameras and smile. Mariette, Letitia, Mary, Deborah. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, done. So thank you very much, Elizabeth. That was very, very insightful and a very beautiful presentation. There's nothing that I can add. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just going to do it. And thank you very much that you have, because I wanted to actually tell you after this call, like, hey, I feel like we need to have like sessions because there's still like a lot of things that we have to unpack. But this was a very good introduction, and I really look forward to having you around like in the next few weeks. So yeah, we're going to talk, and once again, thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mm. So otherwise, have a very good night, and I will talk to you ladies later in the WhatsApp group. And if you need a recording, please do let me know. I have it. I'm going to share it with you. So yeah, bye.